Hello, true believers. This is Beltoni coming at you with another court documentation. I know it's been a while since I've done this. As usual, because I'm very busy, everybody knows I'm just one person. I am just one man, and I'm just a man, and I have my limits. And when I'm getting pulled in all these different kind of directions, I have to prioritize. And doing these kind of vlogs has been something that is on my list, but not a high priority on my list. But rest assured, I'm going to eventually get around to them as I work through my list. Right now, I'm busy with Hero's school and his football training, and everybody knows that the family always comes first, which is not something that a lot of Brain Dead and his cult followers have no experience when it comes to priorities or family coming first. I know in American culture, work comes first before family. Over here in the Philippines, family comes first. So Heroes football and family related stuff is my priority. So anyway, we're actually going into some more documentation. I said I was going to go into the documentation, but before I get to that, I wanted to kind of clear up a few things about brain dead. I know that's everybody's favorite subject is brain dead, and the problem with brain dead was he purposely opened up a Pandora's box when he decided not to only attack me and my family. You know, I could have probably forgiven him for attacking me, but he has absolutely no right and no reason to be attacking my family, and including my family also in this also, especially since I am an innocent person, as proven by these court documents. And of course, all these cult followers don't want to believe these documents because they want to continue believing that I won on a technicality, and the answer is wrong. There's nothing further from the truth. So I wanted to get into these technicalities, and this is one of their technicalities. This is the medical legal report themselves. Now, for most of you who are new to this channel who don't know anything about medical legal reports, I was charged with, in my case, I was charged with not only human trafficking, but rape also. And human trafficking, of course, includes sex. So it's pretty simple and basic over here. It's like, which probably why I'm doing a separate video on human trafficking itself. So I decided to do it now. We got all of Heroes math stuff and science stuff done out of the way. So I decided, you know what, it's time for me to do one of these. And so what it is human trafficking is somebody comes up to you. It's pretty simple. We'll go through it again over and over again, especially for people who don't get it. And what you do is you sell somebody for sex in exchange for profit, for you to gain profit. Okay, so supposedly for a crime to happen, that there's a couple of things that have to happen. One is there has to be sex and traded, and then money traded, one or the other. Okay, sex exchanged or money exchanged. Well, it would be nice to have both, or it would be complete you have both. But if you have only one or the other, then you could still the human trafficking still works. And then, but it's not enough, the human trafficking. We also have to include rape. And let's go into the human trafficking and the rape. We have to have sex. So remember, this is the documentation. So, okay, so we've got witnesses, complainants, of course, that are saying that like they were human trafficked and they were raped. Okay, that's pretty heavy accusations. Well, one of the things that you're going to do is evidence. What is the evidence? So the police said, okay, we're going to need to do a rape report because there's rape, there's human trafficking, there has to be sex. And the biggest problem they came up with is their star witness. If you can look at, again, over here at the medical legal report, people have said, you know, they have breasts already, conical, no injuries. 15-year-old. Now, for a lot of people like to use the word pedophilia, which is being misused. They should just change it in the dictionary now, that anybody below 18, like a day below, they could be 17 years old and 364 days old. But if you like that person, then you're considered a pedophile. They should just change it in the dictionary. It's becoming to a point where the word pedophiles, everybody's being called a pedophile now. So from my understanding, I thought it's before teens or before pre-puberty, and post-puberty is no longer pedophilia. So I think people just like to use the shock value of it, but then it's beginning to lose its shock value. But anyway, this person has conical breasts, no injuries. This is the doctor's report. The body, no injuries. And the hymen, there's a notch. So I've often kind of wondered, what does that notch mean? Does that mean there's sexual activity but not actual penetration, or just maybe digital? So this is kind of vague. So if somebody in the comments can explain to me, what does that mean, a notch? What does a notch mean? But at the 5 o'clock position. But the important thing about here is the hymen is intact and no signs of recent injuries. Okay, there's no problem. So this person, who is the police use as their witness, has her hymen intact. So the conclusion is no genital injuries at the time of examination. So this is the technicality that people were talking about. Okay, you're guilty of rape, you're guilty of human trafficking through Virgin Mary accusations here. So the person's still virgin. And the remark says this has been a person a victim of sexual abuse and child pornography. So I like my pornography clean, but I don't like it that clean where the person remains a virgin after the pornography. Speaking of child pornography, all of Tracy Lords' pornography is child pornography also, but everybody is a hypocrite in the 80s if they all didn't self-pleasure to Tracy Lords back then. So at any rate, like I said, this person is already post-puberty, and I may add, I might do some more legal videos in the future. She is above the age of consent. I repeat, the age of consent over here in the Philippines, that you can legally have sex with somebody over 12 years old here in the Philippines. I didn't make the laws that you can legally have sex with them just as long as it's with consent. It's not illegal, it's not a crime, that you can have sex with somebody over here below 18, above 12 years old with consent. So the age of consent here it is in the Philippines. I know people are going to say, oh, there's a bunch of laws now. The law still stands that you can legally have sex with somebody over the age of 12. As long as it's consensual, it's not rape. Anything below 12 here, the laws here in the Philippines it's definitely statutory rape. You have no defense. You have whether it was consensual or not. But the person here, as far as legally, as the laws are concerned, anyone over 12 years old can legally consent to a sexual relationship. Now, over here, that's not even an issue because of the evidence. I could just say I never had sex with this person or I ever sold this person for human trafficking. And the evidence will support my statement. Anybody over here in the Philippines, you can accuse anybody of anything. And that's another part where the documentation that I want to get into. Probably the second part. I don't know if I'll have time to include it in this part. And so that's the part over here. So I wanted to probably focus first and foremost when it comes to, so that's one issue is rape. Okay. And I think one of my future videos is going to be talking about rape, consent, legal laws, things of that nature, and I have some documentation on that issue. But that's not even an issue over here because of there is no I'm sure somebody's gonna be in the comments, oh, the hymen is not a then that's just you have to go with black and white here. You know, they either have their hymen or they don't have their hymen. It becomes of he said, she said. If I said I didn't rape her and she said I raped her, okay, well then what's the evidence say? And then of course over here, the evidence over here is going to have to support me. And there's your technicality right there. Okay, and then how far are you going to go? Are you going to say that I paid off this person, this police superintendent, Joseph C. Palmero, medical doctor? Do you really think I have that kind of power? Or do you think I really have that kind of connection over at Camp Crame to be able to convince this person to say to doctor the evidence over here? And here was an interesting thought and the answer is no, obviously. I'm just like you. I'm just one person. I have no money, no looks, no personality, no connections, and I put on my pants one leg at a time. And then you have no other choice but to eventually you're going to have to accept the fact that this is the reality. This is the truth. This doctor is not going to put his license on the line and say that she wasn't injured. Now, if I was the police, they should have, right before they did this, because I have anecdotal stories when I was in prison about positive drug tests. What they would do is to make sure that who they catch will have a positive drug test, is they'll take them to these safe houses, these people that they catch. And so to make sure that their drug test is positive, then they'll make them take the drugs, and then so that their drug test will end up positive regardless. Same thing when they do searches, just like with Looney. They were expecting Looney to have marijuana with him, and that's how they were going to catch him. Looney is this famous rapper that was planted. But in case he didn't have any marijuana with him, the police brought their own. So when somebody says they're going to search your house for drugs, 9 times out of 10, if they don't find any drugs, they'll bring their own drugs so they can plant their own drugs like they did with Looney. That's just the culture here in the Philippines. You just have to know both the beautiful side and the ugly side of the Philippines. Also, what makes the country so beautiful is also the same reason the country is so ugly at the same time, because of this poverty, because of this culture. When it comes to money, well, we won't get into that right now. So back to what the police should have done is they should have sexually assaulted this girl themselves. I mean, it's not the first time that they sexually assaulted a teenager. They should have raped her themselves. And then they could just blame it on me with the evidence that's saying that I did it. That's something to do, or somehow damage this so I could be damned, and then I would still be in prison now if there was any fresh damage to this at all. I mean, the police should have damaged themselves, or the person should have damaged themselves. They didn't think this through. But anyway, that seems macabre to think about it, to suggest it. But to make this case bulletproof, all you had to do was the girl just had to have sex, and I would be in prison for the rest of my life, especially for rape, and she could just blame it on me. I don't know if the police is going to do that or they're willing to do that, but something that they should have they should have thought of. It's like, okay, we're going to do a rape report because you said you were raped, right? And you go, yeah. So it's going to be fine, right? Yeah. And then when the doctor looked at it, and it's like, well, what are you guys talking about? Rape over here? There's no rape here. And they're like, okay. So we'll still. So this came back, and they're like, well, we can't go back and damage this hymen now. We'll just make up a story. So the story is what we're going to be talking about, because there was 2 girls that said that I raped them, and only one of them had a medical legal report. So let's talk about it, and we can get to that. But before we get to that, let's do a summary of, human trafficking here in the Philippines. So remember that my first case over here, this is the resolution, Family Court, RA 9208, in accordance with RA 10. I think this is cybercrime. They're saying that I used the internet to sell the girls at the same time. So, I mean, for those of you who are not familiar with this, here's the court's ruling. So let's go through it again, and we'll discuss the issues over here. This wasn't actually brought up. They couldn't use this as evidence. Actually, it was evidence somehow we still got it, but it never came up at all. So the court's ruling. So the information here alleges that the accused has presented in the World Wide Web as the girls, these are their names, as prostitutes in my online social networking sites. The prosecution's evidence on this point consists mainly of two sets of pictures. The first shows these minors in normal clothes in public in places moving up. The second portrayed lewd pictures which do not involve any of these minors. As for the latter, the prosecution is even uncertain that the first set involving the minors are intended as part and parcel of the second set to create an image attracting prurient interest insofar as the minors are concerned. So if to wrap up this paragraph, they're saying the prosecution or the police presented two sets of evidence. So where the girls are involved, there were just two sets of pictures. One where the minors are just in normal clothes, doing normal things. Second set has nothing to do. So we got lewd pictures. Okay, I'll say they included chai. So lewd pictures of chai. If you guys remember the chai pictures, they're saying, oh, chai's pictures, which was included in the set, is included in that. They're supposed to be together, but the prosecution failed to. Even the prosecution has no way of connecting that these girls walking around in normal clothes has anything to do with chai. As a matter of fact, they have nothing to do with each other in terms of, so settled. That's what the judge said. Okay, this is the judge ruling. The judge is the one who makes the decisions. Who is the judge? Who is he to judge? Well, he's the judge. Okay, not you. So we have to put a lot of weight on his decisions and his discussions. The information further asserts that in commission of the offense, the accused used the internet, cyberspace, peddling or offering the minor victim services for sex to the accused's customers in exchange for money. So let's go back. The prosecution is sorely lacking evidence. He didn't say lacking evidence, sorely lacking evidence. Not only did they lack evidence, they sorely did not have, sorely lacking. It's just saying that they don't have any evidence at all of this, of the internet. I mean, if you go online, if you go on Tinder, it's all the evidence is there. If you go to, there's a lot of escort websites over there, what they're offering. It's pretty plain and simple. And I've always made a decision. If that's what you want, then there's plenty of that already. What do I have to add to that? Why do I need to get involved in that? Okay, because that's pretty simple and easy to do. So I'm not interested in that. Me personally, myself, I'm not interested in prostitution. That what I'm interested in is, what I'm actually interested in is money can't buy. What I want is money. I'm at that age, I'm at that stage of my life. What I want is money can't buy. Well, what is it? Nothing is, there's no such thing as a free lunch. What is it that you want? Well, whatever it is that I want, money can't buy. Well, what are the things that time, respect, hard work, those are actual commodities that are impossible here in the Philippines. Trust, honesty. You're not going to find that here in the Philippines. It's a very rare follow through, consistency. Those are the things, and those things are actual assets that I will use instead of money. Of course, money makes the world go around, but money is not going to be able to get me what I want, because if you have all the money, but you don't have any time or you don't know what you're doing, then you're not going to be able to get what you want. So let's go back to, I know this could be redundant, but there's going to be a lot of new people that don't know about these documents, and I'm just doing that. I'm just assuming that it's better that a review or for the people that don't know. So I'm catering to the lowest common denominator over here. So they're sorely lacking in the evidence at this point. While it has presented voluminous proofs, just huge stacks and stacks. Because when they did a search on my house, they took all my computers, all my hard drives, and they broke into all of them. And so they're showing volumes and volumes to show that the accused used the internet. So that's all they did. This person used the internet a lot. So that's you. you watching this video right now also means that you're guilty of the same thing, that you're also, everybody is, if you look into everybody's life, everybody has volumes and volumes of proof to show that that everyone is using the internet, not just me. And that's all they did was just like, okay, with all this, we searched his house, we got all his, and it's like, here, he's using the internet, including the display of girls or women. There's nothing in the testimony of the police officers to this effect. Their testimony and just says, oh, he just used the internet. What about selling the girls? There's nothing in the testimony of the police. I probably go through their testimony, but it's pretty much summarized over. There's nothing in the testimony of the police officers or women or the girls themselves to police officers to or women. There's nothing in the testimony to this effect. There's nothing. That's why when I was going through, before the trial, I was like, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? So of course, all these things were running through my mind. In fact, the prosecution's witnesses, the PO3, the ugliest bitch in the world, has described her evidence as leading to trafficking by her interpretation. This is based on just leading to trafficking. So he's using the internet, and he's got her, and he knows these girls. So this kind of activity is leading to trafficking. Well, it can lead to anything. Okay, just because you're using the internet and you're looking at bank information, does that mean that it's going to be leading to online banking? Well, you're not going to be guilty of online banking unless you actually open an account. Well, she says that, well, this has to be, what else is he under an internet for? What else are the girls for other than leading to trafficking? By her interpretation. This is just her interpretation. This is just her accusation. They don't actually have any proof. They don't have any evidence. It's human trafficking is such a heavy accusation. What makes it so heavy is because there's no bail. When it means that there's no bail, it just means you're already guilty. They just accuse you of something without any bail. You're already going to spend time in jail without being proved, just based on that accusation, not having to prove anything. So that's what they wanted to do. You don't need any proof. You just have to accuse somebody, and that's the biggest problem with here in the Philippines is the judicial system, that you're guilty no matter what, whether you're innocent or not. Because of that no bail system, you're automatically assumed guilty by denying you bail. The law should be that everyone should be presumed innocent, so everybody should have access to bail. But if it's such a serious crime like human trafficking, oh, nobody's going to do that unless it must be really serious. Then you shouldn't have any bail, and then you're going to be spending all your years in jail. I know somebody that was there based on human trafficking. Also, it'll take 3 or 4 years for you to get out of jail, depending on your case and where you're at. And even if you're found innocent, you spent your time, you went to prison still, and you still served the time, even if all that is leading to trafficking or interpretation. And why would they do that? Why would the police do that? And I already said it's over money. And one of the things that they did was use my credit cards by committing credit card fraud and cybercrime. As you could see over here, you can get, they went to Mercury Drug, Walter Mart, Super 8. These are appliance stores, as you could see, Pure Gold, and they got cell phones, sunglasses. They even went to get, and this is, I assume this one's, so they went on a shopping spree worth $10,000 worth of, that's the reason why I had to go to prison, so they can do these things, so they could steal money, so they actually police themselves, and they will use women and children so they can commit their crimes. Okay, this is the Philippines. This is the reality. There is no right or wrong. It's just what they can do and what are the consequences of their actions. What are the consequences of their actions? Look at it. And their defense, we put you in jail for not only 1 year, not only 2 years, but over 2 years. The girl was still a virgin. You didn't actually commit any crimes. And we got to go on a shopping spree, okay, using your credit card. Because Lord knows no one's ever going to give the police a credit card over here. There's the last those are the last people you're going to trust here in the Philippines. So no bank is ever going to give them a credit card. But for them, that's not a problem. It's like no credit card, no problem. We'll just accuse somebody of rape, human trafficking, even if there's no evidence, so we can go on a shopping spree. Okay, this is all in black and white. This is, I mean, if you look at, so what are they? Sorry for all this documentation. Then you're going, it's like, what is your proof or what is your evidence that they did this? And where is that? Anyway, I have the where they were in custody of my stuff. I should be more organized, but I'm not, but that's okay. If I could find it. It was in their custody anyway. So there, of course, they have my wallet and here. Do I have it here? Oh, here it is. I have it in their custody. I'm gonna, bear with me, I'll get this straightened out here. Just want to get the documentation that says that they have my stuff. So that way, you know, there's going to be people that are going to be, I had it in front of me. Oh, there it is. Oh, here it is, here it is, here we go. Yes. So receipt of evidence over here, and as you can see, they took my iPhone, they took my camera, they took my Samsung camera, my tripod, headset, my BPI Express credit card, my BPI and my RCB MasterCard. So they took it while all my credit cards were in their custody. Signed here by June Richel B. Lorente. If I were you, if you're watching this video, PO3 June Richel B. Lorente, I'm sure you're sweating it out pretty good because you signed this saying that you have, this is the receipt of evidence that you have. And then regardless of who actually used my credit cards, it's your signature that's on there. So technically, you are responsible for this. And then, of course, you're going to point to your boss, John Donato Paras, who is AWOL right now, absence without leave for, like you're talking about 5 years he's been missing. He hasn't showed up or reported to work still to this day. You could always say that. I mean, if I were these guys, I would just set him up as the fall guy. He's missing or dead anyway. So if I were him, I would say that, oh, I was just told what to do. But will that work? In the Nuremberg trials, it was just like, I was just following orders, maybe not, but they went on a shopping spree based on my credit cards. So here it is, Union Bank ATM card. They even went through my Union Bank also. And I had actually $9,000 in my wallet, but they said, oh, as you can see here, only $4,000. So they stole the money also. My cash also, so they can go on a shopping spree. And I also showed you already they also used my laptop, my Hero's laptop, to break into my Bitcoin account and my email accounts to be able to ask people for money. But anyway, so that's the receipt of evidence. Here's the evidence. Did it go in collections? Absolutely. That they emptied out my bank accounts and then they went on my credit cards also. Hey, what's that like? I mean, let's stop for a second. You know what? Put yourself in my position. If any of you are capable of empathy or compassion or just imagine having your credit cards used. And then that's why, you know, brain dead needs to pay for what he did. So, of course, I'm going to, this can't go unpunished. I mean, this is black and white. The police had it, used my credit cards, emptied out my bank account, emptied out my Bitcoin wallet, and you already saw, and they accused me of this, and then we got brain dead also. So I'm gonna to add insult to injury, so I'm gonna add brain dead also. So the Philippine National Police doing this, so they could do this, and then so brain dead could do what he did, and to do this to another human being, another human. So where is the humanity? There is no humanity for people to be doing something like this to another human being. So are you willing to accuse somebody of rape, humiliate them, brain dead, humiliate them and their family so you can make money? So you're willing to do that to another person? How would you like it if somebody that did that to you, even though you didn't do anything wrong? See, that's what people need to learn about the Philippines, especially when it comes to the Philippine National Police. When it comes to money, there is no humanity. Let's go to the flip side here. So before I go into that, before I go into deep into the humanity here in the Philippines, how there is no humanity over here. Let's go to the rest of this case over here. The court may tend to agree with her. So the court just says, the judge says, I want to agree with you. The judge says, I want to prosecute this person. I want this scumbag to go to jail for the rest of her life. But the accusations, as the court tends to agree with it, the accusations of the accused of associating themselves with girls of minor age, maintaining internet accounts with unsavory content, and even establishing beyond border connections with foreigners all point to say that at least something sinister that may even be constitutive to the crime of anti-trafficking. No one can deny that the activities are not wholesome. Okay? So based on your opinion, based on his opinion, yeah, it's not wholesome. Okay, but is something being not wholesome a crime? Is it something that's illegal? So everything that's not wholesome now. So if this was the wholesome police, and then if this is wholesome court, then I would be guilty of violating wholesomeness. Okay, but that's not the case over here. He even said that, however, until it reaches that point, shown by concrete evidence, we actually need evidence, then only suspicion may be excited. So this is where brain dead and brain dead's cult followers come in, is then suspicion may be excited from one's mind. And we can go into that, why they want to be suspicious. A lot of it is jealousy. Okay, that's the only emotion that I can think of that points to that. Why would you want to have suspicion of something, of human trafficking, without any evidence? And where is it coming from? Is it because of the girls are beautiful? Yes, the girls are very beautiful. I won't deny that. And of course, you won't never have access to them. You'll have access to them when they become bar girls and when they become prostitutes and they become single moms, but you will never have access to them before. And that, of course, is going to make me, even I'm going to be upset and jealous about that. Then only suspicion may be excited from one's mind. See, this is his own words in black and white. See, you can't deny it. Now, people are going to look at this and read this and listen to this and say, oh, that's still a technicality, that the suspicion may be excited from one's mind. See, this wasn't dismissed on a technicality. The actual prosecution went. And if you think having no evidence of any crime or no crime being taken place is a technicality, well, and then you've got your own issues you need to resolve. Then only suspicion might be excited from one's mind. If you can use suspicion as evidence, then everybody would be guilty and everybody would be in jail. But that's not how the law works. You must remember that suspicion, no matter how strong, must never sway judgment. Suspicion is not evidence. So you can do all your fake news, you can do all your fake accounts, you can put up and post whatever Brain Dead says on his YouTube account. It is pivotal in criminal cases. Evidence for the prosecution is evaluated against the required quantum of evidence in criminal cases. Criminal cases, if you're just going to be making a YouTube account, making up fake news like Brain Dead, then that's fine, but you still have to suffer the consequences for it. There's laws against that for libel and slander. But when it comes to criminal cases in the criminal court, an actual trial, something as simple as evidence is needed. The thrust of the prosecution's theory is that the accused is engaged in prostitution, that he's offering the minors to render sexual services to others. That was what they were accusing me of. I was using the internet to offer these girls to others. Insofar as anti-trafficking laws are concerned, prostitution refers to any act, transaction, scheme, or design involving the use of a person by another for sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct in exchange for money or profit or any other consideration. Okay, for argument's sake, let's just say sex, okay, because nobody's gonna come here to the Philippines just for like a hand job or something like that. So let's just say for actual sexual intercourse, for argument's sake. Okay, for this other stuff, that's gonna be he said, she said, but sexual intercourse, we'll focus on that, and none of that happened. I couldn't prove this until I was arrested, and they had to. I mean, there's no way, and it's impossible for me to show you guys that the girls I'm dealing with are virgins. People have always made jokes about, oh, is he selling low mileage virgins, and how am I supposed to do that? And then lo and behold, here is the Philippine National Police doing it, proving that I don't deal with prostitutes, that I don't do prostitution. I mean, here it is in black and white that I'm not involved in prostitution. The girls I'm dealing with are virgins, and a virgin is not a prostitute. A girl will not sell her virginity for money. And that's probably one of the reasons why that her hymen was still intact, because they could have said, your hymen is still intact. Well, how much money? The police don't have any money. They can't be using my credit cards. Well, we'll give you one of his credit cards if you damage your hymen, so we could all put him in prison and he'll never get out. For some girls, their virginity is more important than credit cards, as you can see. Well, the police using credit cards anyway. So that was one of the things that saved my life. The fact that she was still a virgin. So those jokes that people were saying that I only deal with virgins, well, here you go. Here's proof of that. No signs of recent injury. Her hymen was still intact. Hymen, no genital injuries. So what appears on record is what they're saying now is what appears on record is a sexual pursuit of the accused, not to the offer or use of the minors by the other, but by himself. Told to the accused of using his. So, and here's how they were saying that I was in pursuit. What based on what? That I was using my foot to touch her thigh. He says the accused had asked her for sex. So this was very famous because I actually have video of this where one of the girls was playing footsies with me, and I actually reacted on my vlog going, what the hell is that? Somebody was she was rubbing her foot up against my leg, and now she's accusing, and it was on video that she says, oh, I'm sorry. She said she thought it was if you watch the video, actually a video of that, she says she thought it was the leg of the table, not my leg. And likely story, my leg is completely, I would know the difference between somebody's leg and the leg of the table. So I even caught her, and then now she's saying that I was the one accusing her and then asking her for sex. Even then, let's just say, so when we did the mirror, so what? If somebody can ask you for sex, you could just say, nope, sorry, no. Is that a crime? Asking somebody for sex is not a crime. So that's not what human trafficking. If you went in there and says, oh, he asked me for sex, it's like, oh, that's human trafficking. Let's put him in jail. Well, the results are going to be that's not human trafficking. If indeed the claims of these minor witnesses are true, then the accused may be held liable for other crimes, but certainly not when it comes to human trafficking is concerned. There you go. So to be sure, it might be contended that what the accused did to the three minors were prelude to him offering their sexual services. So you're saying, even if we do say that these are the preludes. So these are the what do you call it? You'll just go grooming them to them offering their sexual or utilizing their. So it does seem possible. Hell, anything is possible under the circumstances, with the accused apparently using deeply involved maintaining blogs with scantily dressed women. But there is no evidence here adduced. There is no evidence of that, as you can see. It says here, there's no evidence of what do you need? You already searched my house while I was in the back of the car with handcuffed already. Well, you already searched my house for several hours and terrorized my family. And here you already went through my computers. You already went through all my hard drives. And just, it's not like where they just entrapped me or instigated me, and then that's all the evidence they had. They had all the evidence in the world that they needed. And after all that, they didn't have any. So what else do you need to have all the evidence you need? You already had a search warrant. You already entrapped me. You have everything. You went through my house already. So after all that, you're going to say that you didn't come up with any evidence? Or maybe because the evidence doesn't exist. But there is no evidence here adduced. Until then, the contention, while consistent with profiling, remains merely a supposition. I'm not really sure how to interpret that, but I summarize that as that you're just profiling, you're just stereotyping, you're just creating fake news. Under the equipoise rule, the evidence admits two interpretations, one which is consistent with guilt and the other one which is innocence. One is consistent with guilt, so the interpretation is one is guilt and one is innocent. Well, if you interpret it that he's using the internet, but he's not selling the girls, you can interpret it that, or you can say, yeah, but there's no evidence of it. Then under the rule, the person must, the accused must be given that's the universal law. A person has to be assumed innocent until you have evidence of him being guilty. He could be guilty, but unless you have any evidence of it, then he has to be innocent. The accused must be given the benefit of the doubt and should be acquitted. Here, at least insofar as the crime charged in the information, as far as human trafficking is concerned. So let's get into that. So he even went into the example, the following is administrative, the commission of a crime punishable. So he even cited an actual case study, actual Supreme Court case study, where it says, okay, this is the definition of human trafficking. Here's the presence of the crime's elements was established by the prosecution, witnesses who testified during the trial. The young victims themselves testified on their respective ages and how they were lured by Harang, that was the accused, to participate for the victims of sexual abuse and exploitation. Mainly upon promise of financial benefit, the girls agreed and thus joined them on June 27th to their meeting with the Korean customers in search for prostitutes. Police authorities personally witnessed Harang's unlawful activity as they conducted entrapment operations and arrested him after Harang transacted with the supposed customers and received payment therefore. Okay, so let's discuss how standard classic human trafficking. If you want somebody to go to jail for the rest of their lives, all you have to do is this. You go up to somebody and say, hey, I'm looking for girls for sex, for a good time, for a short time, and you know how much, right? And he goes, okay, and then he brings the girls, you give him the money, bam, solid human trafficking case. Oh, well, how come that's not what happened with you? Why didn't the police do that? Well, what did the police do? Well, they went to these girls instead, and this is what you're going to do. Okay, we're gonna accuse him of rape. We're gonna accuse him of human trafficking. He doesn't have to rape you. He doesn't have to. We'll just accuse him. We'll just make up stories about it. Okay, and why didn't they do that here? Why? Because of money. As you can see, the police and these people will do anything for money over here. Why didn't they do this? Well, first of all, let me tell you a story. I'm not the only one who was charged with human trafficking. It's like there was another person there. His name was, we'll use his nickname. His name was Aiko. And he is gay. He was actually a transgender. He's a man dressed up as a woman, long hair, wears dress, heels, and everything like that. But I'll tell you a funny story about this person. Even though he's a woman, and the story is always the same. The girls they need money, they need electricity, they need food, they need clothing, they need makeup. I mean, there's situations where girls over here, they could be coming from a rich or a prominent, or they don't have any problems with money or anything like that. But there are going to be girls that are going to be, they just want to have money to have makeup. We were going through Canterbury's, the heroes are going through online classes, and one of the things that they were talking about were Canterbury Tales. And in the Canterbury Tales, one of the things that was asked was, what do women want? What is the one thing that women want? And it was so simple. They just want power. They want the word that they were using was sovereignty. And a lot of these girls, even though they have their basics, they have food, shelter, and clothing, they just want to be able to do the things that they want to do, not what they need to do. And there you can have examples of that. Is that an example of me? Is something happening with me? Yeah, but that's between two consenting parties. It could be possible. Anything is possible. And that's not human trafficking whatsoever, where I need to sell them to somebody else so I could make money. As you can see right now, I have no friends except for Quincy and Jim Bob, and they help me out with Heroes Football. They'll pay for a week's, every once in a while, they pay for a week's training and a day's training, or lunch, but he's able to go to school and take care of his needs, and I'm still able to take care of his needs, including his football and his school education, extracurricular activities. I don't need to sell anybody. But there's also another part that you need to know. Number one, I don't need to sell any girls. And number two, I don't like dealing with prostitutes. Why would I give you something that I don't want myself? Okay, I didn't come here to the Philippines. I'm not gonna go into the wine industry, and I'm allergic to wine. Okay, so first and foremost is I enjoy their company. I enjoy their genuineness, things that you. But when things go wrong, maybe where I went wrong was there were just too much money that was perceived to be coming in, that they wanted it a piece for themselves. This girl is like saying that, oh, that's our money, not his money, and he's controlling it. And I always said, well, you can't give these girls money because it's giving them like a loaded gun. You got plenty of people already sending money online and corrupting the girls. If you have, it's like all of a sudden they have this power, and if they're not responsible, it's going to corrupt absolutely, and it's going to lead to something. Instead of enhancing their lives, instead of using it for something good, it'll be destroying their lives. I mean, if you give them money, they're not going to use it for education. They're not going to use it on their connecting their electricity or paying for their needs or for their families or for medicine. They'll use it on their wants. It's pretty obvious over here because of the culture. The wants come before the needs. So another aspect why human trafficking will never be involved with me is, number one, I don't need the money to sell. I don't need to sell girls for our family's needs or for my own needs. Number two, I don't like prostitutes. I don't really need to go into more. Enough said. When I want real people, and I want the real thing, and I want a real connection. I want intimacy, which is something that you will never have. And intimacy doesn't have to be sexual. Intimacy comes in different forms, especially at my age. So, and the number three, the most important thing you have to keep in mind also, and if anyone knows about anything about the Philippines, is you don't need to traffic the girls. You know why? Because they traffic themselves. They sell themselves. When it comes to money, they will do it themselves to you. They don't need to be trafficked. They'll traffic themselves. Their own parents, their own mothers, their own relatives will traffic them for money. If the police will use them to entrap me, to instigate me, so I can go to prison for several years, so they can do this, so they can have money. So the reality over here is they'll sell themselves. They'll do this. They'll have, even though you're a virgin, imagine if you put yourself in this girl's position. I have never had a sexual encounter. Nobody has ever touched my vagina, but then I'm going to let this stranger do it so the police can do this, and so they can do this to me for money. So she did this because she was thinking that she was going to have a payoff. When in reality, it was the police that was using her. So the police are the ones that pimped her out, and used me as a customer so they can get my money through credit cards. So in reality over here, it was the police that were human trafficking the girls, and I was the end user customer. But it's because the girls will sell themselves. So the girls will sell themselves to me. And this is an entrapment. And you're like, oh, you shouldn't have been in that hotel. It's like, you don't know how hard it is to say no to two beautiful girls. If the police already said that, like, if they say to this girl that we're going to arrest him in a hotel, and you make sure that we're not going to arrest him when he picks you guys up. We're not going to arrest him because we don't have any evidence. We're not going to arrest him while you guys are eating at Shakey's. We're going to arrest him in the hotel. So it's our idea to make sure. So even if I say, no, my spider sense is tingling, I would rather not. Let's just go home and I'll take you home. Are they going to let me? The answer is absolutely not. Okay, what am I guilty of? Am I guilty of being a man? Then that means you're guilty of being the same thing also. It's not, this is not something that these are girls that I picked up online or I've met that are strangers. These are girls that I have known for several years. I have vlogs and vlogs about them. Then all of a sudden, greed, money, success. I was having so much success that they didn't like the fact that I was controlling. I had so much control over their money. They wanted to control their money. So they think that when the contributions were coming in for food, that they're saying that I'm holding the money, and they think that it's their money that I'm stealing from them. Of course, that's not the reality. Once I was gone, they would go back to prostituting themselves and their own. If I really wanted to dig hard enough, there's plenty of evidence online that they're prostituting themselves now, and their relatives are even using this. I'll even give you a little side example. One of the girls, I have documentation of this. I have testimony of this. So one of the girls, they're to prove that their age, that they're actual minors. One of the things was a birth certificate. You need the actual. They couldn't produce a birth certificate. One of them, it was just a copy. Well, anybody can doctor a copy. We needed an original, and they couldn't produce one. So that's a technicality for you. But anyway, the trial still continued to proceed, even though they couldn't prove. We could win on that, but this judge wasn't going to allow it. I wasn't going to win on a technicality. I think the number one reason why he couldn't let me out, I couldn't win on a technicality, even though we already said that the search warrant was illegal. He still allowed all the evidence, is because he didn't want to be under fire. He didn't want to be, because there was so much attention to this. I heard rumors from the State Department looking into this, all the other politicians are looking into this. They really wanted to make an example out of me. So he wanted to make sure that all the evidence was admitted, that he wasn't going to get any heat or any for example, that he was bought off or he was paid off. So he wanted to make sure that every decision, he allowed every evidence, and no technicality was going to be allowed in this situation, because there was so much attention to this. There was so much pressure on him, and he didn't want to cover his ass. He didn't want so what if I don't want people to come back to me and said that, like, oh, this one was on a technicality. The search warrant was illegal. They didn't have the proper birth certificates. But anyway, one of the girls had a birth certificate and it didn't match her name. Her name on it wasn't actually her name. And she was testifying, well, whose name is that? Oh, that's my mother's maiden name. And then how come you're using your father's name? Well, we never processed it. Now there's two thoughts that we could get into that. Why? For me, it's simple. When I had a baby, the baby had my name on it. Pretty safe and simple, pretty direct. No questions asked, enough said. But here in the Philippines, when the father's name is not included, is not used, and it's used the mother's name, then the number one reason, you can't, of course, I can't confirm this one way or another, but based on my experience and based on the culture and based on what we know, when the girl uses her own maiden name and doesn't use the father's name, usually the number one reason why is they don't know who the father is. Now, if you know who the father is, then you use the father's name. That's pretty same, plain and simple. But when you don't know who the father is, then that's one of the causes. There's going to be other issues where money is concerned. Like say you're a mistress and the person, the real father, is going to be a lot of legal issues. Well, in this situation, when you're dealing with poor people like this, that's not really the issue over here. It's not about money. Then it becomes a financial claim. So the guy would rather say, here, I'll just pay you off so you don't use my name. So there's no evidence of me being the father of this. No official evidence that can legally tie me. I'll just voluntarily pay you off or give you an allowance or give you. But we don't have that situation over here. These girls are poor. And that's one of the reasons why I was able to have a quid pro quo relationship with them where we have a give and take. What is your quid pro and quo? It's like, well, everybody knows what I want. What I want is not sex, but time. Could you equate time with sex? You could, but that's just a symptom, not the cause or not the actual source or origin. Okay, is time. Whenever I buy the girls food, I'm not doing it in exchange for sex. Whenever I buy the girls clothes or pay their tuition, I'm not doing it in exchange for sex or for sexual favors. I'm doing it in exchange for time. Okay, because you need to realize that time here in the Philippines has no value, but for us, we know that the time is key. The more time you spend with them, the more familiarity. That's where feelings, emotions, familiarity, trust, all those things needed in a real relationship. It will never happen interactive. You could be the nicest guy in the world, but if they don't give you the time of day, they're not going to be able to know that. They're never going to be able to experience that. Now they realized that I was the only one. What happened here is that they saw that there was a goose and it laid golden eggs for them, and they figured, okay, why do we have to wait for this goose to keep laying eggs? Why don't we just kill it and get all the eggs so we can just have all the eggs for ourselves? Why do we have to wait for this goose to do this? So what they wanted to do is just get together with the police, create human trafficking so they can get the golden eggs. And then, yeah, they got the golden egg over here, but what happens if we use up all these golden eggs and we need another one? We're not thinking about that. Remember, this is the Philippines. We're not thinking about the future. It's like children of men over here. There is no future over here. It's all about just the now. So people, when it comes to money, people will easily resort to violence like children of men. So back to my main point over here, that the people over here will sell themselves when it comes to money. Okay, because of their wants. They'll do it just because of their wants. Well, you could use that. Is that good or bad? No, but it's not a matter of good or bad, right or wrong. There is no right or wrong here in the Philippines, just the consequences of our actions, what we can do and what the consequences are. But what you'll see is this is an opportunity for you to spend, so they could spend time with you. The more time you spend with them, and everybody knows what I am and what I'm capable of. If I can convince people to give me money by spending time with them, by communication with them, well, what do you think girls are going to do with me? Given enough time. Okay, what I do with that, that's between consenting private parties now. Okay, at the end of the day, I'm still a gentleman. Okay, what I do personally, privately, is my own personal private business, none of yours. But since this has become public thanks to Brain Dead and his cohorts, I am sharing this. Part of it is clearing my name also. So let's get focused on that thing over here. I will never be guilty of human trafficking because the people will sell themselves to you. Okay, why will they sell themselves to you? Because you are something they want. You have something they want. Okay. And if a person sells themselves, it's not human trafficking anymore. What do you call it? What is it called? It's just, what do you call that? It's just give and take now. It's just, well, it's called a good relationship now. Why else would the women and men and women would get together if it wasn't for something they want? Women want money, men want sex. If they could find a happy medium, because over here in the Philippines, in America, that doesn't work because the women over there don't need men to have money. But over here in the Philippines, they still need a man to get what they want, especially money. Because there's so many poor people over here. And this is what they're willing to do, how far they're willing to go. But the good news is this person wasn't willing to give up her virginity so the police can use the credit cards by getting away with it. Are they still getting away with it? No, yes, for now, but soon when this is already public, I've already uploaded it. People can see what the police did. This making public that somebody's a virgin is not losing face, and saying the police use my credit cards is not it's not them losing face, it's them committing crimes. And people who commit crimes, but someone who's innocent, they definitely need to clear their names. So the important thing, like I said, this video has gone on for an hour, and I'll do another video next. Is then what is it in their official affidavits did they say with this in mind? So this is what I need to do next. But the important thing over here when it comes to human trafficking here in the Philippines, when you say human trafficking this, human trafficking that, they already traffic themselves. You can even say, brain dead for an example. You're talking about, he was what, 60 years old? You're talking about a 40-year difference. Okay, what do they have in common? What does brain dead have in common? Why would a young girl in her teens be interested in somebody who's not only 40 years older, but a foreigner, but a shitty asshole personality on top of that, unless because of money? Then because of money. You're gonna have girls like that. Could she if given her a choice, what's his name? Somebody's gonna get mad at me making the comparison. If you were a girl, if you were a young virgin girl like this, which one would you choose? Brain dead or Bebel's only? Hands down, you pick Bebel's only. And twice on Sunday. You never go with a brain dead asshole like that. So, of course, we'll go back. That's going to be a certain sore point, a huge source of jealousy for them, because I can do a lot of things that they can't do. That's just the reality. And of course, I'm going to get hated for it, and I'm going to get a lot of negativity for it. But that's just the reality. So when it comes to, then you're saying, but it's only if that's the case, then is everybody a prostitute? The answer is no. Okay, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be selling you time. But when it comes to virgins, they're going to voluntarily give it to you once you've earned their trust, once you earned their respect. Of course, they trust me. I'm the only person they could trust, and they trust me willingly. How do I do it? It's just like, here's food. All I want is in exchange is time. Give me your time. Spend some time with me. Just hang out. But if you want to eat and run, then go to hell. Okay. First one is free. I'll give you that. Here's your Jollibee. Here's your take home. Go run off to your little boyfriend, to your little drug addict boyfriend, and go spend time with him. But you're gonna be hungry again, and the next time it's not gonna be for free. I'm gonna want you to sit with me, hang out with me, because if you don't spend time with me, then I'm not gonna see you again. Pretty much basic. If everybody, it's like, what are you selling? Time. I'm selling time, because that's what results to the real thing. That's what results in real relationships, not money. Okay, even Brain Dead will say in his live stream, he went after the girl that he met at a bar. He went after her like a Filipino. He didn't went after her like an Australian. He didn't went after her like an American. He didn't go after her like a Canadian or a German. And when it comes to Germans, they like those lady boys. I mean, the Jennifer Lawden or something like that. She was a lady boy, and she had a boyfriend that was sending her money he was German, and he was sending money for her needs, but for her wants, she was going to hook up with Scott Pemberton. But I'm just saying, I that that those Germans, they liked it. But when you're dealing with real girls over here, well, the problem is if I'm dealing with the girls themselves, but then you've got parents. Oh, I forgot. So the girl doesn't know. So one of the girls' birth certificates doesn't have her father's name. It has her mother's maiden name. And when asked, the court asked, well, why is it that your name is? Oh, her answer was, this was her answer in black and white. Oh, we just haven't had a chance to process it and change it, which is a fluff answer, which is not a, it's just a politically correct answer. Instead of saying, oh, we don't know who my real dad is. So when you don't know who your real dad is, why wouldn't you know? What are your suspicions of who her mother is, or where she wouldn't know who the dad was to know enough who he is to put his name on it? Maybe she had suspicions, but she doesn't have money for a DNA test. And even then, if the guy is not going to say, how do you know it's mine? Then you have no choice but to put your own name instead of, eventually maybe somebody else came along and decided to become a father to the children or whatever. But still, you're looking at a situation as something as simple as a birth certificate. That's an official document that's going to follow you for the rest of your life, and you're putting your own. But when a woman uses her own name instead of using the father's name, if you're poor, you're here in the Philippines, then the father, and then why? She doesn't know who the father is, and why? What? Well, and then you can come up with your own reasons. Why would she not know who the father is? And you can make the comparison. Well, there are. I think in her situation that there are different dads. She has siblings and they have different dads. So you can make the comparison to a lot of women that are selling themselves in that kind of, what's the politically correct word I'm looking for? And that's what I did not want to continue to happen to them. I mean, the same thing. I want you to, if you have a child, I want it to be because of, you're under the right conditions. You're married. You're in a committed relationship. You're in a right relationship with somebody that can provide for you. Not like in a situation where, like, the girl is gonna trap that person because of money. I'm not mentioning any names. Brain dead. You want it to be in the right conditions. You don't, as a man, you don't want to be trapped by a girl that you met from a bar. And in brain dead situation, I mean, it's a girl. Talk about karma. I mean, I can clearly say after one generation, his lineage is going to be wiped out. It's like, I want you to know, brain dead, with your girl, after one generation, your lineage, that girl is going to be producing not anything from you, but from the father, whoever that is. Two things could happen, or several things could happen. Brain dead, obviously you're going to die of lung cancer. Maybe sooner, maybe later. I'm probably going to dance on your grave if that's just like you did to me. If that does happen, then your daughter is going to be stuck in Mindanao, and what's going to happen to her? Who's going to provide for her? You're going to leave money, but in like 3 days, 3 weeks, they're going to be just like 1 week millionaires, and all the money's gone. And then what is she going to do? Right? Hopefully, you get two choices. It's either she, or several choices, or several outcomes. She's poor. She's poor. She's in Mindanao. Maybe she'll end up just like her mom, with a 60-year-old that she can trap, and end up just like her mom, just like what you did to her mom. So what goes around comes around. What you did to her mom, hopefully something like that can happen to her. Imagine that, being with a 60-year-old. Imagine your daughter, after you're dead, you're going to be long dead, so it doesn't matter, is going to be hooking up with some 60-year-old like you, just like what her mother did. And that's not, I'm not the bad guy here. I'm not the one who's don't shoot the messenger over here. That's the reality. That's what you did. How come it's good enough for the mother of your child, but it's not good enough for your child? Why can't that happen to her also? It happened. You did it. Why can't somebody else do it to your own daughter? All right. So don't make me look at, because you're not going to be around anyway to stop it, and you're not going to be around to witness it anyway. So, but what I am going to do, like I said, is my civic duty, and continue. So the next thing that I'm going to do is what I meant to do was the affidavit after this. What did they say to the prosecution to for the two girls to say, okay, well, you're virgins. How can we still continue with human trafficking and rape if this is the case? Oh, well, we're gonna make up a story, and that story is what's gonna be what the next topic is. If you have any idea, how can you accuse somebody of rape even though they still continue to be virgins? Let me know in the comments. You may be right, and if you're right, I'll give you a special shout out. Oh, so and so is right that this is what they say that I did to them. But when it comes to the human trafficking, like I said, the people here sell themselves. So why would somebody be accused of human trafficking, or why would anybody get involved? Well, there's going to be people that are going to need money also, and they're going to want a percentage of that. So they're going to want the introduction. So what I do is, like I said, people are wondering, well, what is my business? What is my business model? Like I said, this is not a hobby. This is something that I do to make a difference. I've always said that happiness or fulfillment, it's about connecting with other people and touching other people's lives. And this is how I connect with other people for my fulfillment, is to touch other people's lives, so I can create a legacy and I can make such a big difference in other people's lives. And we always, the old saying always goes, it's true anywhere, is there's something universal about it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you don't know anybody, but I don't know anybody, but I know you. And you might know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. It's, if you want to have success and you want to have a fulfilled life, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's what I do with what I do with my skills and my abilities. And I don't do stupid things or that are like spaghetti dinners that just makes things worse. You're just enabling them. That's just like welfare. Spaghetti dinners, you're not really making a difference. You're given but me, I'm given this talent, I'm given the skills, I've given this being able to put two and two together, and to not be able to do something about it, and at least try, I think it's a dishonor to myself then if I don't at least make an attempt at it. So that's what the reality. So that's, if you want to know what my business is, I sell time. I sell my time. And guess what? That's what the hell you do also. That's what everybody in America is doing, is they're selling their time. Right now, because of the pandemic, the government is going to be is going to debt because so they could they're going into debt because of time. But eventually, that's going to get caught up. The credit card bill is going to come eventually, and the government's going to have to make you pay, because they're not going to pay that credit card debt, and all that debt that they're getting into. You're going to have to pay it. So you just want to position yourself to where, I mean, I'm not going to pay because I don't even have a job. And I'm not even making any money from these YouTube videos. I've never made any money from these YouTube videos. Everybody knows the money that I made. I never made any money from the government. The government's never given me any money. There's plenty of evidence of that, making sure, if anything, I lost money from the government. And, well, why? I made all my money from my hard work, and because people trusted me. Because I was, my customers, or the people who I serviced, to them, it's like trust, honesty, respect was more important than money to them. So for me, it was very easy to make money. Of course, there's going to be a lot of bastards out there that are going to, that are going to be like this, that are going to be like this, and you have to be careful with that. And no man is an island, and eventually you're going to run into them. And the fortunate thing here is, at least here in the Philippines, that it could be dangerous. You could end up dead. Just like that Korean businessman. You're just doing business over here in the Philippines, and all of a sudden the police kidnap you, accuse you of a made-up crime. I think, was it online gambling or drugs? They said, oh, we're here for drugs. They didn't even have a search warrant. Anyway, that's not the point. They were just going to kill him anyway. And then after they killed him, to add insult to injury, the Korean wife got a lawyer, and the lawyer says, oh, let's give them $100,000, 5 million pesos, even though he's already dead. So that's the biggest problem over here. Even the lawyers, the judges who gave the search warrant over innuendos and rumors, even so, we were able to prove that the search warrant is illegal because there was no basis for it. And then look at this, because all for money, for the love of money. When you got jealousy and greed, and it's just getting worse. And that's just something you have to keep in mind. Yes, there are good people over here, but just as equally as good people, there's equally bad people over here. And when it comes to human trafficking, while I'll never be convicted of human trafficking, there's going to be people that are going to need to do human trafficking where they'll take a percentage of somebody selling themselves. But I don't need to do that, and I don't need to be a part of that, and I'm not interested in prostitutes. Okay, so then why is it that the girls are willing to sell themselves to your... Well, there's guilty by association, and then there's benefits by association. Any of the girls will tell you that if they meet you or they meet me, they're expecting, or they want them to be exact. They want you to be exactly like me. Somebody who they can trust, somebody that they know they're going to be hurt, and they don't have to worry about food, they don't have to worry about clothing, they don't have to worry about education, in exchange for time. And in that time, eventually, there even someone as abrasive as me, or even like an asshole like Brain Dead Ned, even Stockholm syndrome will sit in. Even if an asshole like Ned can get into relationships over here. But the funny thing is, he got trapped. All he ever wanted to do was cheat. Like he cheated on the milking the old maid, milking the cow for free. That's all he wanted to do. He's probably cheating on her right now. And over here, cheating is normal. Cheating is part of the culture. Relationships, marriages don't break up over cheating. Okay, but there's gonna be a time where she's gonna be too old. He's gonna want somebody younger again, and he's gonna kick her out. And as long as he has money, or that YouTube money, but if you want to put a stop to that, you want to stop his YouTube money, his selling his online books and peddling products, so he can make money here illegally outside of his foreigner visa, because only citizens are allowed to make money over here in the Philippines. But that's not even the issue. The issue that he attacked my family was enough to get him kicked out. So I'm going to be doing that. But the question you're probably asking is, well, it's been like what, 4 or 5 months? Oh gosh, it feels like it's been longer. You've been out of prison like 4 or 5 months. How come you haven't done it? How come you haven't filed a case against the police? How come you haven't filed a case against Brain Dead? The answer to that is pretty simple. It's hard to say without really saying it, but there's still one more thing that I got to finish up. I have one thing that I got to finish up. Once that's finished, and of course, because of the pandemic, because of all these other things, and I kind of alluded to that earlier in my other videos, what that is. But once this is finished, I can't just I don't want too many things on my plate. I need to finish one first. And then once that's finished, I can fully concentrate on the police next. And the police know exactly what I'm talking about. And if they're watching this, they should be scared. They should be worried, because it's their turn to go to jail now for actually committing a crime. This is actual evidence that they committed a crime. Here, look. They're in custody of my credit cards. Here's my credit cards being used, and they're using these girls. Imagine if you're a parent. Imagine if you're a parent. A lot of you probably don't understand, but imagine what it's like. You had parents before. And imagine if you don't have a parent, if you are a parent, let's say if you have a parent, your parent comes up to you and says, this is what we're going to do. The police said that you're going to go in the hotel with bebels only, so they can use credit cards. Is that okay with you? And of course, as a parent, you're going to say, that's ludicrous. There's nothing more ridiculous than that. But that's in the Philippines, there's nothing so normal. They're like, oh yeah, everybody would do that. If the police told you that there's going to be money at the end of this, there's going to be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, yeah, we'll go in this hotel. And what is so scary about going in a hotel with bebels only? Nothing scary about that. They go, yeah, for money? That's easy. That's nothing. That's I think they'll say that's TikTok, right? Would you agree? Now, as a parent, Would you agree to that? Okay, because it's the police's idea or the police's plan to say, okay, we can't catch him at the restaurant, we can't catch him. What we have to do is catch him at the hotel. Would you agree to that as a parent? Okay, obviously for people who are listening to this, the answer is no. But in this situation, the answer is yes. Gladly, they did it. Why? Because of money. So you need to keep that in mind. If they're willing to do something horrible just for money, they're willing to do this. The parents are willing to prostitute their children to the police so they can get money. Then keep in mind that they're willing to do other things also for money. So they're willing to sell themselves. The scary thing is now they're out there. I don't know. I mean, this was 3 years ago, so they should be overage now. But before they were overage, I'm sure they were selling themselves out there. And would you want to get involved with these girls again, especially there now that they're actually considered police assets, which is scary. So I don't know what's gonna happen to these girls, and it's not really not on my agenda right now. My agenda right now is to finish up some unfinished business, and once that's finished, mark my words, the plan is to go with the NBI for their cybercrime division, show them the evidence. The police did this, and this is the result of their case against me, so they could do this, and here's the evidence. And by the way, I have this video brain dead of him libel and including my family in it, and he's just a foreigner here in the Philippines, and he is attacking natural citizens of the Philippines on his YouTube channel. So the NBI is definitely going to be interested in that also. And it should be, if you don't want Brain Dead to be cheating over here and milking the cow for free and staying out of his lane and selling illegal products through his website, then this should be good news for you. And I'll probably be looking for support because that's going to require time and resources also. But mark my words, that's the reason why I haven't filed a case against the police yet, because I have one more thing I need to finish up. Just one more thing. And once that is finished, I will tell you guys what that is, and I can concentrate fully. I don't want too many irons in the plate now. I want to focus on, once that's finished, then I can put the Philippine National Police in my crosshairs. I'll even include Kristen Cebu. I actually got a copy of Kristen Cebu's. I haven't looked at him yet. I just want to go into it fresh. I want to have what is the word I'm looking for? I want to go into it without any, so you get my natural reaction to their videos. We'll include Kristen Cebu. So I know you guys are probably all from the same pool, these cult followers. So we'll include Kristen Cebu. I have a copy of Kristen Cebu's video also. I haven't seen it, but I'll present that also because he's a foreigner visiting over here. He's not a citizen, and he's attacking and using his YouTube channel. So it doesn't take much, as you can see from over here. It doesn't take much to get this to do this. But for what I'm looking for is, I'm not a vengeful person, but redemption is redemption. Okay. So Kristen Cebu will be included in this, and I'm sure that's going to make people happy. So keep in mind, once I finish what it is, this one final thing that I need to do, then I will tell you guys what that is. Okay, even though it seems like, wow, you went through 3 cases already, you're still saying there's still more that you're unfinished with? Yes. And once that's finished, that's the reason why I don't want to be distracted with other things right now. Then I might not properly finish it, or it might delay me even longer. So we'll throw Kristen Cebu in there for making a video about me. And that's what you got to do with these keyboard warriors. They're so brave, and they're so righteous when I'm in prison. And now that I'm in prison, they're all in hiding now. Kristen Cebu is like not doing his street walking anymore, and brain dead. It's like, you're so brave, you're such a keyboard warrior when I'm in prison, and now I'm out in prison, you're apologizing, but you won't apologize on your own channel. That's where you attacked me from, with your videos showing my wife's face, my kid's face. Okay, you show your wife's face and show your kid's face, but you have no right to be showing my family's face, okay, on your channel. You have no permission to. And to be doing that, you violated the law and you need to pay. And the good thing is there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be happy about that, because you're not here to be attacking. If you're here to visit, be a good person, not attacking, but when you cross the line, then you're going to have to pay. So yes, the desired result is he should be blacklisted, he should be deported. And while you have time, get your paperwork ready so you could take your family with you in America. They probably don't want to go with you in America, then you'd be separated, and that's probably what you want anyway. That's not neither here nor there. If you want to be with your family, then you could be with your family. Then take them to America with you and get the F out of the Philippines. Maybe that's probably a blessing in disguise. Maybe I'm doing you a favor, because the longer you stay here, the longer something bad is going to happen to you, just like it did with me. But maybe this is it, and you self-induced it. It's just like if you're brain dead, if you go looking for trouble, trouble will definitely find you. And that's what he did when he went after my family. And just put yourself, before you make your comments, put yourself, you can't be coming at me and say that it wasn't your family that he embarrassed or humiliated on his channel. So you can't come at me one way or another and saying, oh, you shouldn't be doing this or that. It wasn't your family. When it's your family that's being attacked by him and being humiliated by him on his channel, maybe you can have something to say, but unless that happens, then you have no say. For anybody, somebody's going to say something stupid like, oh, this video, that video, what are you doing that? It wasn't your family. Okay. For most Americans, family means nothing. They're away from their families. But here in the Philippines and in my culture and my personally, family is everything. And that should be with you all. It should be with you also. And if you get brain dead and those cult followers that don't know nothing about the value of family, that he'll be willing to attack other people's family, especially other people that are innocent's family. And then what do they... they're not gonna do is say sorry. Then they definitely did. Whatever happens, it's like, yep, and then he said he even said in my chat, he was just sorry about, I don't know what the hell he was sorry. He wasn't sorry about anything else. He was just, I think he just said he wasn't sorry about me saying that I was doing those illegal things. He was just sorry about using my family's pictures and personal information on his channel. I think he said something stupid like that. He wasn't sorry for anything else. Okay, well, it's not, after this, after the police, after the NBI cybercrime get through with you, you're going to be really sorry now. Okay, I experienced it. It's something that's a learning experience. So that's what you need to, that's part of your live and learn. And you brought this upon yourself. You could have just stayed in your lane, but and just mind your own business, but you couldn't keep your mouth shut. You and your big mouth, now you and your big mouth need to be deported and go to jail and all those other consequences for your actions. But anyway, that's my take on human trafficking in the Philippines. You don't need to get involved in human trafficking because the people here sell themselves. Everybody already knows that. That's kind of the simple reality, but we want to use things like human trafficking so we have something to feed our jealousy and our anger and our hate and our own discontent and our own unhappiness. Okay, if that's the case, then we can work that out. Then it's about you. You've got your own personal issues. This is not about me. You're mad. You're just mad no matter what. I just happen to be the focus at this time. And now you're mad that I am actually innocent instead of guilty. Imagine how that's going to shatter your world. But anyway, if you agree, disagree, but like I said, the parents themselves are selling their daughters. Just like Brain Dead's old maid milked the cow for free, sold their daughter to them so they can get some kind of payola or allowance from Brain Dead. Same thing over here. The parents are willing, the parents are willing to give their youngest daughter to a 60-year-old man in exchange for money. And that's the real human trafficking in there. And it's not really human trafficking when it's their own parents or their own selves doing the trafficking themselves. Then it's, by law, it's not human trafficking. It's not, so the law is, it's not, as you can see, it's not human trafficking if they sell themselves, or if the police are actually doing the trafficking themselves, then by law, I'm not the one doing the human trafficking. Brain Dead should know that because of his years and years. We collectively have a century worth of experience in our books over here. But as you can see, he's just a stupid idiot. He's just a moron, just like some dumb shit asshole that doesn't know anything about the Philippines. If you want to know anything about the reality, about the truth of the Philippines, this is it. Real world experience, person who has real knowledge, experience about the culture, what it is, how it is, what it is that you desire, and what are the perils and dangers when it comes to the police, and what happens when it comes to virgins. So if you're interested in a virgin, not somebody in the bar, you let me know. But here we have black and white evidence that I don't deal with prostitutes. So therefore, if I don't deal with prostitutes, then there is no human trafficking. That's a take-home story. And when it comes to human trafficking, you don't need to do it because the people here sell themselves. You already know that. If you have ever come here to the Philippines already, that's what it is. It's one big. There's no other reason why they would want somebody to be with a 60-year-old if they're from a bar. But if they're not, if they're virgins, it's going to take more than your money to get them. And that's where I come in, which is time and my experience and my knowledge and my wisdom. And that's what I sell, my experiences. And as you can see, I have a lot of experiences. Nobody else has as much experience as I have, especially when it comes to both cultures. That's my gift. That's my talent. That's my skill. That's what I'm all about. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If there's anything I need to clarify, and my next video will be, I definitely need to do that Fazio reaction. So it's on my list of things to do. But rest assured, everybody who's asking the question, why haven't you filed the case against the police? Why haven't you filed the case against the Brain Dead for their crimes? And that's because I have one still project I need to finish up. And once I finish this up, it's going to be this. I'm going to add it to the same as these. And I'm going to tell everybody what that is. And then we're going to add. And once that's finished, that struggle, that fight, that war is finished, then we're going to start a war that I didn't start. The police started with me. I didn't draw first blood over here, but Brain Dead, you did, and the police did, and now they need to face the consequences. When you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Anyway, this is Babbitt's Only. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.